Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Silent Rain here, back with you with another top lane tier list right here. I'm going to do a little update here since right as I posted the first video, it already seemed a little out of date with the recent patch notes that came out there. So this will be based off the new patch notes that just came out. I am recording this 3 days, actually no, like about 5 days after the patch came out. So I had a chance to try out the characters or just know what characters are still going to be good in this meta here. We'll see, there have been some changes that I will be making to this tier list here. So instead of having all the characters listed here, I will instead just have them all here, because I have decided to go ahead and add a few more characters to the list, since some people are saying that are missing some characters. Some characters do get played in the top lane in some competitive aspects of the game, so I will list them. But overall, let's get into it. Enough of me scrambling right here. And if you like these sort of things, if you guys want me to keep on doing these sort of things, you know, hey, leave a comment, like and subscribe. We'll get on to it. Well, first of all, Cinderace does not count, so we're not gonna talk about him. Garchomp. Now this will be a very much a hot take. I'm gonna see how this tier list develops, but I think he's actually one of the best right now, because after the recent nerfs to Blastoise, where the CC is a lot less here, and really there's only a few characters that really can pin down Garchomp really hard, besides like actual tanks. But CC's getting nerfed across the board. Cooldown's getting longer. The CCs are becoming less prominent. So, or the characters that do have CC, Garchomp has no problems dealing with. Like things like Slowbro, Garchomp has no problems dealing with. Things like Crustle, the Crustle like change does less damage, so it's less of a problem. Trees, Woodhammer's more of a cooldown. So, now there are overall a lot of things looking good for Garchomp. Though I feel like at the end of this I will put him down here, but right now he's looking really good right now. Next up from these tier lists, well, from this list here, we're going to go in with Machamp. Machamp's a little bit more, still a counter pick, still has the same issues that it still has. In terms of the characters he, struggle against, most of them stayed the same, and still he just has a problem against like some of the more meta picks right now. So he still needs some changes, like some good changes. I do believe in submission with Machamp in a weird way, and I know that's just a meme, but there are some things you could do with it. But again, we haven't really seen anyone really take advantage of it, and even myself, I don't like playing submission champ. It's just not my forte, but there are people that do play it out there. So right now it's just a counter pick. It's kind of niche, so I'll just leave it at that. Next up is Absol. Please don't play the character in lane. It's just better suited for the jungler, because you want to get level 5 spikes and everything. You'll start seeing another trend here in the no please category. It just basically means that you just don't play in there. They're better in a different role, or they're just not designed for top lane specifically. Like I'll talk about some characters that may be good in top lane because of like their kit, but maybe design wise or what the meta is going to, it's not good for them. But for Absol right now, it's not good for him, so don't play him in the top lane. He just struggles. He needs Vive. Next up is Lucario. Lucario is actually in one of the best spots right now compared to what he once was earlier. Like about 2 months ago, if you say that Lucario is pretty good right now, I would say you're honestly delusional. Lucario was good, but he just wasn't good compared to the best of the best. But as time has went on, as the best of the best have all gone nerfed, and he got like a few buffs, like I'll say 4 months ago. Honestly, he's coming back in the meta, so I think he's actually firmly in the meta right now. He could be chosen in some cases, so don't be surprised if this character gets picked a little bit more during Worlds. Also, this is based off a Worlds tier list, so I'll go ahead and make a note that this is a Worlds tier list as well. So these are probably characters we will see getting played in Worlds here. So yeah, this is a Worlds tier list, competitive tier list here. And next up, I did put mine on the first list, and again, he doesn't really change. He goes into the okay category. Just doesn't really has a good lane, but then doesn't really scale it that well. I mean, he does a good CC, and he doesn't have the power that he once had in the top lane. So we'll just keep him there. Venusaur, I did have him at actually a decent counter pick in niche area right now, because of how decent he was against some of the tank characters being played up there. Like he's pretty good against Blastoise. He's pretty good because Blastoise, yeah, he CCs and everything, but like he can't really get anything started with Venusaur just A-pressing him. Tree also had the same problem. But with other characters starting to come back, like all-arounders like Lucario and Garchomp, Venusaur loses somewhat its role in the top lane just to be annoying for Blastoise, even Buzzwole. Because the thing about these Buzzwole, Blastoise, and Trees is that they're pretty slow. They can't go for stacks. They can't have the easy time to get stacks without taking too much damage from Venusaur. But since they are less prominent, Venusaur goes down here. And that's going to be more of my 2 cents about a lot of the attackers that were in the top lane being played. They were good at doing well against the laners that were there. But again, as the meta changes, you're going to see some of these attackers that were once in counter pick may not be as good anymore. Next up, we got Talonflame. Talonflame's just getting worse because of the meta. It just does really well against the early game against tanks because they don't have their scaling, they don't have their moves. But like now we're dealing with like Garchomp and Lucario. Talon starts to lose some of its niche a little bit. It can still play well into them. Not saying it doesn't, but it's just a little bit more risky. And if you get behind on Talon, these characters can just roll them over. Next up is Crustle. Crustle again still can be a counter pick. He does have some niche situations, but again, I can never stand when a Crustle is on pad by itself and is trying to defend the pad, and it can't because it uses Shell Smash, and then it just dies immediately because it just can't defend pads. And if it's by itself, it just can't do it. Even if it has a lead, the whole team can just go up top and then just kill it. So that's the only problem I have. And then playing Rock Tomb is just kind of troll for a carrying build. So you have to go Shell Smash, but it's just so risky, and there's so many drawbacks to it. There's a lot of pros and a lot of cons, and unfortunately the cons outweigh that. I mean, if Shell Smash wasn't so like lowering his defenses and all and everything, he'd probably be really pretty good probably up here, honestly. But because it does hold him back. Flaylax, meme, don't play it. It's pretty funny though. If you want to go for funny builds, like, hey, be my guest. Funny builds, like, this is like a ranking tier list, like ranked matches. It's probably decent, but don't do it. It's not worth it. Charizard, again, like, I think it can be played in lane, but it's still kind of counter picking its niche. Most people don't want to do it because it's too risky. It just, Charizard, as much as people say, like, well, Charizard's in the jungle, like, he's a jungler. I mean, I honestly think he's actually not that bad in the lane once he gets 5. Yes, he's very squishy and all and everything, but so is Blastoise at level 5. Yes, Blastoise got nerfed, so so I do think Charizard's actually pretty decent. It just needs 5. Zera, no, I just don't see it being Garchomp. So right now, I'm trying to contemplate whether I want to put Zera into OK or even counter pick. But I don't see it being Garchomp. I don't see it being Lucario right now in the meta. So I think right now I'll put in OK. Maybe I might change that after some digging to see who's in the best in the meta. But right now, so far, I don't see Zera being these characters right now. Next up is, the lone and only Blastoise. And he's still good. The nerfs definitely did him in. He's definitely not the best. Like, definitely from like top 3 to like down to like maybe top 10 of top laners. So he still can be picked. His main role is to try and kill the squishy targets. Like, he still does well against Desi. He still does well against Espeon. These characters can't do anything against Blastoise once he's on top of them. Like, they're kind of just screwed. So he's still good in the meta and can still do decently well. But he's just not the best. He's still really good though. Don't sleep on the character. Guy still has great mobility, good CC, and good damage. Again, I didn't have Mamoswine on my first list, and right now I just don't see Mamoswine filling that role. So I just don't feel like he's a top laner right now in this meta. I just don't feel like he's there right now. As a carry mon, like, you gotta have like at least a good ult or a decent ult. It feels like to be a top laner mod. Like, all the ults from all these characters are pretty effective. Maybe not Talon's, but Talon's at least does something for what he wants to do. We don't count Flaylax because this is a meme. But like, every ult is so impactful here in the top lane. Mamoswine isn't. Until it actually gets a very good ult that does it more impact, it doesn't go in the top lane in my opinion. It's just kind of a troll. Greedent though. Again, he could be getting better as time goes on. Though we did see him being played by Noun Esports, and it did look pretty well. But is that just Gatlu being good, or the character being good? I think it's just Gatlu. I still think the character's still good. You can make it work. You gotta play around it though. The team has to play around it. If you don't, then it just kind of runs around and just does nothing. That's just kind of what Green has always done. Run around, do nothing, or run around, do something. It's not that he just scales or anything. It's very cut and dry. Serena, again, still my girl, counter pick still. Honestly, she could be getting close into the meta right now with Blastoise getting nerfed, because that was definitely one of the harder matchups. But now that that's less of a problem, the problem is that there's still one character, and that's Leafeon. That's going to be a problem for her. And until Leafeon gets nerfed, like, Serena's not going to see the time of day, because both of them want to do the same things. Serena wants to get an early lead, snowball super hard, super quickly. That's what Leafeon does. Leafeon does it better, easier, and has 2 movesets that are just way better. While Serena only has 1 good moveset, and she has to get 6, which is a big problem. If they nerf Leafeon, a lot of characters start to become a lot better. Machamp becomes a lot better, Serena. So Leafeon is kind of holding everyone back. So speaking of Leafeon, well, no spoilers, but Leafeon's still one of the best. Still has not gotten nerfed. Again, still has not gone nerfed. It's crazy how many times this character just gets through the nerfing judgment again and again. Character's still good. You've heard it before. You don't need to explain it. Solar Blade's super crazy, fast and long, so much damage in early game. Ult is ridiculous. Still does too much damage. It's still on a decent low cooldown. Once it gets the lead, even if it dies a few times, it's still in the game. So character's just broken. Dragonite. Again, same problems as these guys right here. Needs levels, needs scaling. Can actually do decently well with Outrage, I think. I think Outrage is a good counter pick against some Mons that are mobility based or auto based. Like, I think it does decently well against Garchomp. It could do decently well against like Leafeon if getting the right scaling, but it needs levels, and all these characters need levels, so that does hold them back. Besides Greedent. Greedent is just Greedent and the tanks are a very specific for their pick here. Next up, another one here, we got Tree. Tree did not get nerfed here, therefore the character is probably one of the best. Is it the best right now? I had to wait until I get through the rest of the list here, but he is looking like the one of the best right now. Next up is Aegislash. Aegislash right now, Aegislash did not like Blastoise in the meta. It was kind of like he really wanted to get in the backline or really just be able to put his cooldowns out, and it was too much CC. Since it is getting nerfed again and again, CC's getting nerfed again and again, he is starting to become a little bit better. I wish this character was a level 6 spawn. If it was, it would be so good right now. But it needs level 7, which is too much for a top laner. But I mean, jungle is actually not that bad, and top lane it can work. You need help. It needs help like Serena. But like if it gets 7 with no problem whatsoever, the character's pretty crazy. But it's just too hard sometimes. Azu right now, as much as I think the early game is really good right now, is it enough to suffice with failings in the game? I'm not entirely sure. I'll put it right here right now, because it's a good early game, good decent scaling, but needs an early lead. Granted, it has a better chance to get an early lead than Serena, so I will put it in this category right here in the top, because it can get an early lead and it can easily snowball compared to Serena, but it needs to snowball. If it doesn't, it doesn't do anything, unfortunately. The Buzzywole. He's still good. As much as I think that, honestly, I think he still might be one of the best. He still does decent well against Blastoise. Since Blastoise got nerfed, he's actually just destroys Blastoise, I think. Buzzwole and Lucario kind of go even in the lane. Lucario definitely has the better early scaling, but like if Buzzwole and Lucario go even, the Buzzwole wins most of the time, unless the Lucario goes extreme speed. But extreme speed is that is also a niche build. I think Pup's just a lot better right now because of what it brings to the table. But so if we're just going on Pup and Buzzwole wins that 10 times, like 8 times out of 10 he'll win that most of the time, unless the car is so fed then he doesn't win that. So the fact that Buzzwole still has a good early game, great early game did not change, and the car is all about early game and getting early game scaling. So what character if they both go even, who wins? Buzzwole. So that's how I kind of figured what would happen in this 1-to-1 matchup. So Buzzwole's still good, still beats Blastoise. Does he beat these characters? Don't think he does. He might beat Tree, but it's kind of like up in the air right now. Next up, this could be a weird one here, but T-Tar is starting to come come in right now. In terms of what I think he is right now, I don't think he's a top laner, but I know people are starting to play it because it's tankier and it can do some things. So I will put it in the okay category right now. The buffs are pretty decent because it does help out his early game. His early game was trash, but he is a little bit lower tankier. It does help out a little bit, especially if he has a support. He's actually pretty hard to bring down, especially if you want focus ban. So the character is really hard to bring down now, but still, you get ganked and your Pupitar, you're not gonna do anything. So it's okay. Would I recommend it? Not yet. Until like some other, and until I play more about the character, maybe I might put an encounter pick. But like right now, it's just not good. It needs levels. Caesar, I think it's really good right now. A lot of the top laners are starting to become more like attackers. Like there's no longer Blastoise in the top lane. There's no longer Lapras anymore in the top lane. Like there's less Mons that are special attackers in the top lane. And what that means for Scizor is that means it's more counter picking opportunities for him. I think he's no longer counter pick character. I think he's actually pretty decent right now. So, and this does include Scyther here, so I'll go and put them both together. I think Scyther's a little bit better in the lane, but I think they both can do well because of what Amanda is going to right now. And there's a lot of attackers in the top side, so because of that, I think Scizor's really good. Next up, Dodrio, one of my favorites. Now, Dodrio has been struggling a little bit in the top lane. Have not been seeing it a lot recently, but I do think it's just because that Blastoise was so good. Tree has been popping up. Those characters kind of give Dodrio a hard time because they're big AoE CCs that just stop Dodrio in his track. I think he's trying to kind of sitting right here. He might go up a little bit more the more I think about it, but I think he's right here. He's in the cusp of being like a counter picking Mon right now, but he's still meta. He's always just been good. I mean, that recent nerf kind of hurt him a little bit, but not too bad. He just needs a little help in the early game. Once he gets the help, even if he's behind, he's still in the game for what he wants to do. This is mostly drill peck, drill. Tri attack, you have to get an early lead. If you don't get an early lead with tri attack, you're kind of screwed. So you mostly want to go for drill peck for the outcome of the late game. Next up is Zoro. Please don't play this character in lane. I mean, it's decent, it's okay, but just play it. Just play it in the jungle. I don't want to say anything else here. Next up is a character. Some people were talking about like it should have been Urshifu in that list, but like I just don't think it's a top laner. It just struggles too much. But like for the case of it, I'll go ahead and put it in the no please tier. Oh, the thing just crashed. Okay, there we go. So I guess you want me to talk about a little bit of Urshifu. Again, just it needs levels. It just needs 5, but it can't farm. It needs help, and sometimes you can make it work, but then if you don't, then scaling is really bad. Now, if we're talking about when he goes in the jungle for first rotation, then comes top at 5, like, and I'm talking about Red Bear, he's decently okay, but he needs to get, but like if you get 5 and everything after the first jungle rotation, then he's like up here. Because you have to secure everything. So, but because they're just not great at 1 through 4. Because I'm talking about the laning when you start in the lane. Start in the lane with this character. Does it do well? No. Alright. Next up, we got Zacian. I'll go and make a new tier. New tier under this because this is a character that is an EX Mon. They are not legal, so therefore they will not be listed here. But for this case here, if you want to get my opinion on where he would be, he'd definitely be right up here. I'll say Tree probably gives the most hard time, and Leafeon's still really good against it. But he is still up there. It still beats Lucario, still beats Scyther. Like Blastoise probably can't kill it now. So Zacian's probably still up there, maybe even top 3, but right now it's EX Mon, so they're not allowed, so that's all I gotta say about that one. And next I actually got a new top laner attacker to list it, and that is Shandy. Shandy is mostly used as a character to stop people from stacking, just be more of an annoyance more than anything, paired with Hoopa or something like that. Right now, like I said, kind of same problems that Venusaur has. The Mons that are coming into the top lane now are just fast. They're fast. They move around the map pretty quickly, and so therefore they can get into their side, get their farm, take the farm, score, get out without dying. So they lose a little bit more of that value. I think Venusaur's a little bit better than Shandy, but not by much. Next up is actually another one that will be Intel. Intel's put up there for just making, again, other stackers a life living hell. It's a little bit better than Venusaur. It's better than T-Tar, but you're only there to stop them from stacking, and then that's your only job. Unlike Venusaur, where you could possibly take their lanes, take their farm, and then possibly win that lane with the jungle coming top and scaling. I think Venusaur has an up on that one for what it wants to do. So I'm actually gonna I'm gonna rate Venusaur a little bit higher than Intel right now. If that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like. I think I'll put it right there. So I think Intel does well for what it wants to do in the top side, but is it worth it? Sometimes, but most of the time it's not worth it. You're just trying to you're just making top laners life living hell. If that's what you're trying to do, then hey, it does it well. But does it do it well during the whole tournament? Probably not. Mewtwo X, again, EXmon is an EXmon, but if you want to give my opinion, it's probably here. It also kind of loses the CC pretty hard, and these characters do really well at CCing it and really doing well against it. So, but it is EX. Next up is Blaziken, another character that is really, really strong. This character has too much damage. It's pretty good in lane. Yes, it's a little risque in lane, but like you just gotta get 5, and it at least has an easier time getting 5 than like Dodrio and like Scyther at least, because this character feels a little bit tankier than Scyther, so it can like stick around a little bit longer. And once it gets 5, it's just the 5 is just as strong as Scyther, but if not stronger, because then it scales well. Its team fighting is insane, great secure. Like, what more is there to say? Next up, we got Mimikyu. Mimi. Oh, how much I love and hate this character. I think it's counter pick. I think it's one of the best counter pick characters right now, because it needs level 5, but its level 1 through 4 is so bad that you can just never get 5, and then you're out of the game for the rest of the game. Next up, Meowscarada. It kind of has the same problem as Mimikyu. It needs 6. It kind of has a Serena problem as well, where it needs to get 6. Kind of repeating myself, but it is kind of what the character needs. It needs 6. Yes, it's a safe lane, does what it needs to do, but at the end of the day, these characters get 5, and then they can snowball you and kill you before you get 6. All these characters can just get 5 and then just destroy you. And Lapras, and again, I think it's okay. It just needs stacks. It needs a lot of things to work. It's not bad, but it needs stacks. It needs to outscale. It needs to outlevel the other opponent to do anything. But at that point, if you're out leveling and you're out stacking the other mon, then I think your team's just better. So I don't think it's the character being that great, because it needs all that help. It needs everything. It needs everything. Compared to Blastoise, where he has pretty decent stuff at the beginning, but Lapras needs things to get started. So therefore, it goes in the okay. Probably one of the better ones, but still okay. Now, Metagross here. Metagross, he's definitely in the meta right now. He was in the meta the last tier list I made, but now he's just kind of solidifying himself as a meta pick. Again, people are playing him in the jungle, but he actually has a pretty decent lane right now. He has good secure. He's pretty tanky still. Once he gets 5, he's in the game. Gyro Ball or Meteor Mash do well. And after the Gyro Ball buffs and everything and the Unite buff, like, I mean, honestly, the character feels really strong right now. It probably feels like it should go here. But there are 2 things holding this character back. CC. Buzzwole does really well against it. Garchomp does really well against it. Even Blaziken does really well against it. Granted, but if the character gets ahead, this character just snowballs so quickly, so hard. Like, if it's up against Buzzwole, it probably beats it. But in the late game team fight, it probably does not beat Buzzwole. Even though Buzzwole's late team fight is bad, it just doesn't beat it, because it just gets CCs. If it gets CC'd, I guess you could run full heal, but like the XP is way too strong in this character to what it wants to do. So for that, I'm gonna put it in meta. Again, like Lucario can try and kill it, but like it's hard to kill, hard to bring down, and I don't know. It's just this character just too hard to bring down, so therefore it's just difficult. Gyarados got no changes besides the Unite change, but that doesn't really matter that much. Honestly, people might start ditching the Unite Amplifier, go for something else. But even if they change the item, the character's still up here. These characters are strong. It just needs a little help to get like to Gyarados, and then it's in the game, and then just scales like crazy. And that's really all it is. It's just help your Gyarados. That's all. Phalanx. Again, on my last tier list, I did not have this boy in the list here, but he is here now. I think right now, he is still one of the best right here, in my opinion. He definitely can get zoned out really hard sometimes, but then that's why you have the other builds, how the beat up build. And the character is super tanky. He kind of like fits the whole Metagross. Super tanky, hard to bring down. Does pretty good damage if you leave him alone. Except compared to Metagross and Phalanx does not get destroyed by CC as hard as Metagross does, because Buzzwole Smackdown does not work on it. I don't even know the interaction with Dragon Rush Garchomp on this character. I've actually never seen it, but probably it just doesn't actually pull them. So the character just kind of has a weird immunity to CC in a weird way. Not like fully immune to CC, but like it can soak the ability without actually getting CC'd, which just makes it really strong. Because right now the game is top lane still eccentric of a CC game. The game is very much CC centric, where you're just trying to crowd control people and just kill them while they're in CC. And Phalanx just doesn't care about that. And when you leave it unchecked, it just starts to run over the game, destroy people, and yeah, it's a problem. But I do think these characters are really close to it. Blaziken does really well against it. Tree can do well against it with Pain Split, and Tree's just hard to bring down. And the passive Tree stacks work on every, like on his ult, it does work on Phalanx, all the minions. So you can be really hard to bring down against this character. So, and same thing with Blaziken's passive. Leafeon is just Leafeon. Garchomp can auto attack every minion, which heals him. Gyarados can do pretty well against it. Buzzwole's like the only character I'm like, I'm kind of iffy about it. Metagross does pretty well against Lucario. Everything else I'm just kind of re-explaining it. And these characters can do decent if it gets a lead, if they get a lead against it, but like, the character just runs over people. It just needs level 4. It's a better Azu in so many ways. And like, people say it counters Azu. I don't think it counters it, but it just does well against it. But anyways, guys, that is the tier list here. I know this is a longer video. Hopefully, I don't think it was as long as the other one here. I'm checking here. It actually was just as long. But anyways, I appreciate you guys' time here. This is the tier list here for the top lane. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll be trying to upload some Phalanx videos or any sort of videos of like my recent gameplay here. Other than that, you guys have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. Keep yourself safe out there, and talk to you later.